in any ICAP event, we have all that formal closing remarks. But already, I think we have a good round of closing remarks already, I think. The best thing about ESG is that, from ICAP, SECP, PICG, we have been able to build at least an ecosystem where, there is a combined voice in the country to be serious about ESG, not only reporting, but also the effort that the companies are making to be compliant with the ESG requirements. So the responsibility that the corporate sector has to display on the ESG subject, I think whether it's regulator, whether it's ICAP as an accountancy body, or the governance body, PICG, we have tried to come together to make a case that this is something which is not just a compliance requirement. This is something which will define the future of investment and in the corporate sector in Pakistan. Because when we start talking about the need for investment in the country, imagine a scenario where after 2-3 years the world will be analyzing the investment cases on the basis of not only financial performance but also on the basis of the ESG ratings. And the investors will not tick mark any investment opportunity unless you have a decent ESG disclosure. So that is an imperative for the business. And when we talk about implementing the standards, obviously the confusion always and the fear factor is the knowledge gap that we have. And it's not only for Pakistan, it's around the world there is a knowledge gap. And upskilling is required, but who will do that upskilling? ICAP, SECP, PICG can play their role as facilitators. But I think maybe there is a need for the corporate sector to have a dialogue with the universities operating in Pakistan and also elsewhere to see what courses they are designing for the future ESG professionals in Pakistan. So there has to be a curriculum designed for ESG professionals in the universities and the business schools that we have in Pakistan. And for that, the corporate sector, there is a demand, and we have to work on the supply side. And the corporate sector needs to provide that kind of a requirement to the universities so that in 2 to 3 years' time, we have a good number of ESG professionals in the country who will bridge this knowledge gap that exists today. The investment, so we cannot have a ESG journey without cost and investment. So it will happen, and the corporate sector would have to make that investment, would have to build that capacity. So ICAP, SECP can play its part as a facilitator in building the environment, in making sure that things are done under a defined framework and provide reliefs where required. But what it cannot do is build capacities within the companies to basically comply with the ESG requirements. Those risk and opportunity analysis, those scenario analysis will happen within the companies, within the boardrooms, with experts and the ESG professionals. So that breed is needed in the country, and the universities have to think about designing really courses specifically to meet that demand. So that's, I think, the PICG maybe can raise more, I would say, voice on that area, that you have to be engaged with the universities to have lots of ESG professionals in times to come who may not, who will just not be serving Pakistan, but maybe the markets near shore. So that's what I would say, that building capacity means that we have to be engaged with all the stakeholders beyond the regulators, and also the board and the directors needs to be more educated. Perhaps we can have a master class for the directors community to make them more aware of the ESG terminologies and the governance and the emphasis that it requires going forward. Thank you so much, all of you.